So today we're going to finish up talking about the Audient with a couple things. One is we're going to talk about Mix Bus Recording, and then we're going to go back and just do a general review of things on the Audient. Mix Bus Recording is really what it's all about. This is the kind of big moment when you bounce everything down and you record it to a 2-track for listening back on a stereo or on a CDJ or whatever. This is the main point of everything. Without bouncing it down and doing that final mix bus recording, is really what's the point? Otherwise, you're just kind of mixing eternally. So, the whole goal of this is to make music that other people can listen to, that you can put out in the world and people can enjoy. And you do that through this mix bus recording here. This is the final step of everything that we've been talking about on the Audient. So, there's a couple ways you can do this. The main way is to record to your audio interface, and then we're gonna, we talk about recording it back into Pro Tools at SAE. So this step here is about recording into your audio interface. So basically what this means is that you have brought your laptop to school and you've got your own audio interface. You've got everything there that you need. It's basically what we talked about yesterday. We didn't, it's kind of a review of just what we talked about yesterday. First, you just get a 2-track 1/4 inch to TT cables from the equipment room. Sorry, you get 2 1/4 inch to TT cables from the equipment room, and you connect the tape 1 left-right mix to the inputs on your audio interface. And then you're going to monitor through your headphones that are plugged into your interface. So in this scenario, you're just going to have 2 cables that are plugged in that are TT cables, and on the other end of those, they have 1/4 inch adapters or 1/4 inch connectors. And those are going to plug into the input on your audio interface, and you hit play on Pro Tools in the Audient, and you can adjust your levels on your audio interface, make sure that everything is a good level, not too hot, not too soft, and then you can record it in. It's not too hard to do. What you need is just 2 1/4 inch to TT cables. You need your audio interface, you need your computer, you need a pair of headphones, and you need your recording software. And that can be Pro Tools, Ableton Live, Logic, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't really matter what you're using on your end. And you just connect it up, and it's on the Audient board, patch bay. You go over here to where it says the mix, left and right mix for the tape 1. And you're going to monitor on your own headphones. So you just plug those 2 cables in, plug them into your audio interface, get your monitoring up on your audio interface, put on your headphones, hit play on the computer at SAE, and you should be pretty good to go, unless you've got a problem with the cable or something like that. You're going to be fine. Now, keep in mind with all this stuff, with all this here, let's just take a look at over here. I've got this here. Come on, there we go. I've got this here, and what this is this is a kind of a smaller version of the Audient that we have at school. It's a very similar one. It's a little bit different in a few regards, but it's basically the same. It's what is this one? 16 channels. It looks like, yeah, 16 channels. But the master section and the channels section are all the same as what we have at SAE, except the only other difference is the routing matrix is not as much going on with the routing matrix there. Hold on one second. Let me just get. So over here in the master section, when we're doing this stuff, what we're going to be doing is you're going to be sending it out from your master, and that means that your master fader right here, this master fader, you just keep it up and leave it up. Don't touch it. After you push it all the way up to the top, don't bring it back down. Don't turn it back down. Don't mess with it. Don't adjust it to talk or something like that. If you want to talk to somebody, use your control room level right here. This control room level right here will turn the level up and down in your control room without adjusting the recording level. Okay, so just keep in mind that when you start recording, you cannot be touching the master fader right over here. That's going to affect your level that you're recording into your own audio interface, your own computer. So just make sure that you remember that. If you want to talk to somebody, you want to still keep it going, but you don't want it to be too loud, you can hit the dim button right here, and the dim button will turn the level down by X amount, and you can still talk over it, you can still hear it to make sure that it's still kind of going on in the background. That's really what that is all about there. You don't need to touch your foldback, you don't need to touch the speaker section, you're not touching your master, aux masters, you're not touching your group outs, none of that. The group outs are for your individual channels, it's for your multi-track recording, but right now we're talking about the 2-bus, the stereo recording. So that's what's happening with that. Okay, let's talk now about recording back into the Pro Tools at SAE. So if you're at SAE and you don't have your own laptop, you don't want to bring in your own laptop or whatever, you don't have an audio interface, you want to record into Pro Tools at SAE. So you're playing from Pro Tools and you also want to record back into Pro Tools. And this is going to take a little bit of doing. You got to kind of mess around with a few things in Pro Tools and on the Audient, use a few patch cables. And one thing you just really want to be careful of is you don't cause a feedback loop. So what you mute, what you don't mute, these things really matter in this scenario. With the last scenario, it doesn't really matter. You plug it in, you're plugging it into a different device, you're not going to create any feedback loops. It's never coming back into itself. So you don't have to worry about feedback loops. With this one, you do have to not worry about feedback loops, but you have to make sure that you're setting things up properly so you don't have any feedback loops. So step number one is you take 2 TT cables and you connect from the tape 1 left-right mix to any 2 tape sends. Record A inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Doesn't really matter. You're going to go into the tape sends, record A inputs. And then take 2 TT cables connected from any unused channels. Most likely it's going to be 23 and 24 from the play A to tape 1 left-right monitor. And that's 2 separate ones. Play A on channel 23 to the tape 1 left monitor, and play A channel 24 to the right monitor. And then you're going to press tape 1 button in the source select area, and that's going to be number 5 in the master's set section picture. And we'll come back and show you that in just a second. In Pro Tools, you're going to create a stereo audio channel, audio track, and you're going to name it. And then your inputs are going to be set to the channel numbers from step number 1, and the output is going to be set to the channel numbers from step number 2. Now, I just want to point out right now that this is so we can actually monitor things, so we can monitor our recording. If you don't need to monitor it, or if you're using all 24 channels on the Audient, then you're not going to do step number 2 or step number 3. You're just going to do step number 1 and then record it and hope for the best. And you can see on the level that if you're recording or not, but you'd have to go through, hit record, play some of it, and then listen back and make sure that everything sounds good. So you really want to be monitoring it, but if you are using all 24 of your channels, you don't have to monitor it. You could get away with not monitoring it, but it's better to monitor it, better to make sure that you're doing the monitoring. So let's just take a look at this stuff here. Oh, well, number 6, input monitor the track, record on the track. This is all the basic stuff. When you play the track, you should see the levels on Pro Tools and you should hear the track. And then record, be careful. Any adjustments you make on the mixer will be recorded. Also, don't touch the master fader. Same stuff we just talked about. So here's what we did here. So first of all, what we do is we send the mix from tape 1 right here, tape 1. Send that mix, left-right mix, over to any channels up here in your tape sends section. So this is sending to the record part of our tape. So for example, in this case, we've got channel 23 and 24. So any one of these across the top is fine. It doesn't really matter which one you use. I just put 23 and 24 there so I didn't have to draw as far. If I put channel 1 and 2, I have to draw a longer arrow. You have to get a longer cable, stuff like that. So if we look here again, tape 1 there, the left-right mix, is going to the channels 23 and 24. Make sure you're going into the record portion. Remember, that record portion is what's on the other side of the patch bay. So it's going into the recorder, into channel 23 and 24. So in this case, in Pro Tools, I would set my Pro Tools input for channel 23 and channel 24. So I'm recording it. At that point, you can be recording in. So you can just hit that record arm button. You should see the level jumping up and down. You can hit the input monitor button. See the level jumping up and down. Make sure the level's going, and you're good to go. If you want to monitor it, which you usually do want to monitor, the only time, once again, the only time you would not do the monitoring section we're about to do right now is if you're using all 24 of your tracks and you just don't have any empty tracks. So what we would do here is set this up, go from the play on your, see up here, it says tape return path, right? So we're going to follow that down to channel 23 and 24, the play here, and go over here to our tape 1 monitor, the tape 1 monitor. So we've got that there. And then what that's going to do is that's going to bring the signal into our input here. So that's all this stuff right over here. So down here, our source says tape 1. I know it's hard to read in this JPEG, but it does say tape 1 there for the source, and that's what we're listening to. So we're listening to the tape 1, or we're setting up for tape 1 because we've got that set for channel 23 and 24. And this is going to make sure that there's no feedback loop that happens. If you just bring the signal into channel 23 and 24, and you just hit the mix buttons on channel 23 and 24, you're going to get a feedback loop because that signal is going to go into the recorder and it's going to feed back. So that's the part you want to really be careful with. This part right over here, if you don't do step number 2 there, and you try to monitor, or if you don't do, if you don't connect the TT cables, and you just go through and you bring the signal from Pro Tools back into channel 23 and 24, and you press the mix button on them, then you're going to have problems. That's the part you don't want to do. Do not press the mix button on channel 23 and 24. Okay, we're gonna monitor that audio signal in a different way, and that's with this right here. So you're going to monitor that right here. Take that signal, you're going to basically hijack that signal and bring it over here to the tape 1 monitor, and then you're going to push that tape 1 source select right there on the console. Okay, and that's basically it. I mean, that's how you record on the Audient. It's not that difficult of a thing to do. So that's how we can set that up. All right, cool.